and gentlemen. How are you guys doing tonight? Yeah, that's the kind of enthusiasm I expect every time I get on stage. Disappointment is my key, and I aim to please. So I'm going to do a bit of comedy for you guys, and then I'm going to end with a as yet determined song. The comedy, consider it just a way for me to think about what I've done and what I haven't done. In this case, preparation. So I want to talk to you guys a few weird instances that happened when I was driving once. I was driving to go pick a friend of mine up for an open mic, and apropos of nothing, I hear from the passenger seat another friend of mine say, "Holy fuck!" What? "I just saw the Batmobile." And at that point, it just became a huge argument as to, "No, you didn't. You didn't see the Batmobile." "Yeah, I swear to God, I saw the Batmobile." And so he just decided that he was just going to be like, "Okay, fuck you guys, fuck everything." I was the neutral party in this whole thing. I was the only neutral party in this whole situation. And so I was just like, "Now listen, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. What Batmobile did you see?" "It was the Adam West Batmobile from the 60s. "Motherfucker, you did not see the Batmobile. What man in his rightful mind would have a version of the 60s Batmobile and drive it around in Lakeland? That's something you do in like Tampa or Orlando or something like that. You can't do that in Lakeland. You really do not understand the premise of making sure that your car is not going to be fucked with in any way. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I saw an Adam West version of the Batmobile, that motherfucker would be blue within a matter of hours, I say. Just because that's a huge thing to try to spray paint. Another time I was driving with that same friend, and we both at the same time saw a guy driving a red wagon. A giant car-shaped red wagon. Street legal, I assume. Otherwise, I cannot... What goes through a person's mind where he's like, "You know what? I've always liked to drive in a Mercedes, but let's go with the wagon this time around." That seems a little nostalgic. There's nostalgic in there, I don't know what the fuck, buying a red wagon. So, I'm adopted, and I was adopted into a family that owns a lot of property. My mom was a single mom for most of my life, and she had a good amount of property. We have a duplex behind our house, and it's housed some very interesting tenants. Does anyone here remember the Lakeland Loggerheads at all? By your silence, that is exactly what I was hoping, because the Loggerheads were a minor league professional hockey team. How minor league were these guys? You think of any hockey movie that you've ever heard of or seen. Take the actors from that movie, put them in a professional hockey team, they would be better than the Loggerheads were. Our apartment once housed the guy who owned the team. And he used to give us free tickets and everything. And one day, he drove off and never came back. And we were thinking to ourselves, what the hell happened with that? About a week later, we come to realize he embezzled every penny out of that hockey team and headed straight to Canada. Now, if that's not the premise to a fucking movie, I want to find out a better one, because that sounds like something that had to be planned. How far in advance did this guy think this through? Was he starting up the hockey team just to be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna ruin all of their dreams within a couple of years. Their souls will be mine and they will never find work again"? Another tenant we had was this guy named Steve. Now, Steve was extremely weird in that he would always get into arguments with squirrels in the middle of the night and throw glass beer bottles at them. That's a war story that I want to hear. Like, what kind of situation did he have? Did a squirrel break into his house and steal his cable? What the hell would cause you to have that much of a hatred for squirrels? And I like to think that it wasn't even like different squirrels or anything. It was just one squirrel intentionally fucking with this guy, trying to be like, "Okay, let's see if you can actually hit me, bitch." Last guy I want to talk to you about was a bank manager who he had a son that I was really good friends with, and that's one of the reasons that he remains so prevalent in my mind. The other reason is because he, much like Loggerhead Guy, decided to steal money from his employers. He stole $100,000 from the bank he was working at.
Nice.
And the best thing about this is, unlike Mr. Loggerhead, he didn't go anywhere. He stayed right in the house thinking, what was he thinking? Oh, I only stole $100,000. It's a bank. They have enough to replace it. And I wonder, why $100,000? Why, if you're going to steal from a bank, why not go for the full Monty and be like, okay, I'm going to take a $20 million loan on a mansion in my name. That's going to be fun. What was he wanting to do? Was he just sitting around thinking, you know, I like driving Ferraris, but you know what I'd like to drive? A red wagon. That's what I want to drive on the street. Thank you guys so much. I've been Art Zager.